Take two.
So from the top.
Let's take two.
Got it. Ready to go.
Miss Caitlin. All right.
These guys are awesome. They've adopted 2 chinchillas from us before. Now they're adopting some little gliders that just came in. He's got the male over here. He's a nice white-faced boy who's super sweet. And now I'm just gonna cut the female's nails so that they could not get clawed up by them. But some of our customers are super awesome. They also have red-eye croc skink. What else?
Snakes. We just got a Mexican black king snake. We have 2 ball pythons. Now these guys. 2 chinchillas.
The cuddle pouches?
Chameleons.
Yeah.
Green tree python. A couple things.
Joe!
So you're gonna put a car there?
Why does he feel like that? The little string around him.
There's a bunch of things
He's going too low.
Just go.
He like puts his neck up. Oh.
This would be set up for like anything tropical or temperate tropical that would fit in this style terrarium. It would be like crested geckos, leechies, gargoyles, day geckos, whatever you want. You want to start with your drainage layer and use Zoom Med Hydro balls.
What is that?
It's a little clay ball.
Oh.
This is going to be for your drainage layer. This is so in case you put too much water, that's somewhere to go. So level this out a little bit. You want to separate your substrate from this layer. I'm going to use regular weed block from Home Depot. Some people even like using just sphagnum moss layered between the hydro balls and their substrate. I usually use the screen top to cut this. I usually cut it like 2 inches wider and 2 inches longer than the top, just so it folds up on the edges a little bit. So I'm just going to lay that in there.
Bye.
You leaving? All right, bye, Kayla. Ooh, that sounds fun. I'm just gonna fold it up like this. So when we put the substrate, it kind of catches it. And use some ABG Bioactive substrate. This is for your plants. This is for your isopods, which we'll get to later. I like to do at least 4 inches of substrate in my tanks, especially for higher humidity animals, which is really what this is geared for. If you spray too heavy, you want it to wick well. You want it to hold the humidity throughout the day instead of losing humidity by the end of the day. These tanks are nice because they have the vent here. Also, while the doors are closed, there is a bit of a gap here. For a lot of frogs, what I'll do is I'll take the tops of these off and I'll put plastic sheeting down, then just clip the lid back on it. That's like to restrict airflow a little bit more. It also depends on your lighting situation. If you need basking light for an animal, you kind of have to vent it differently. I'm gonna slowly push this to the sides, so try to get as little to fall down next to the weed block as possible. All right, so now we got your substrate in there. Yeah, you can see your hydro balls down here. We got the substrate barrier. This is just folded up. So this all in here is filled with substrate. When you're placing objects in the terrarium, you want to be mindful that you don't push too hard on the substrate in any one spot. What you don't want is if you do have water collecting in here, you don't want to push this down into that water at any point, because then it'll just wick all the water from underneath. We're gonna start laying the groundwork a little bit before putting the top layer in and putting our decorations in. Just gonna break a little bit of cork, kind of make like a little ledge here. Now I'm just throwing random stuff in here. You can build it out however you want. So if you want, if you're setting this up for an arboreal gecko or a snake or something, right now this is going to be more geared for like a crested gecko or a gargoyle gecko or something like that. So the idea of what we're doing is to have a lot of hiding spots, fill a lot of the airspace in here. The open airspace isn't really usable to those animals. So we're just gonna put a lot of plants in here. If you were to plant live plants, you'd wanna clean off your roots of whatever plants, take them out of their pots. Usually what I do is I repot them in a bigger pot with the ABG substrate. You wanna get all like the perlite or vermiculite off the roots so your animals don't come in contact with any fertilizers or anything either. Like if you're doing this for a green tree python or something, you want to do a lot of horizontal perches. You really want any hiding spots for them, because you don't want them to hide, where the crested geckos is more perfectly fine for them to hide. Another rule of thumb that I stick to, if I can't fit my hand in a cork tube or a hide, I don't use it in the terrarium. Today we're probably gonna use this piece down here. It's pretty big, I can get my hand in there, so. I gotta get my stones for this. You know, if you can't fit your hand in there, I usually just stuff moss in there. Otherwise, you usually have a headache later. Isopods are little crustaceans. What's awesome about them is they won't leave your tank because it's not humid enough in our normal household for them to breathe. So I'll show you. And we're going to put some springtails in there as well. These guys are even smaller species of Pulsamia. All right, so when you're adding these, typically what I'm going to do is I'm just going to clear like a little space. I try to just dump the whole culture in one spot. We're using these two species because they're smaller species that like a crested gecko or something wouldn't go for food. You want these in the tank because they'll eat all the poop, all the mold, and fungus that grows in there. They won't eat living fungus, but they'll eat it as it decays. This is going to keep your terrarium clean. The idea of this, doing all of this, is to not have to change the substrate. Mature setups, sometimes you have to add substrate eventually. Like I've had some setups going 2-3 years that I've had to add like why is there no dirt in here? I'm gonna put these two different species in different spots. Not that they can't live together, they will live together eventually. Having multiple species is also gonna keep their own populations in check. So it kind of works like on a curve. So when you first put them in there's not that many individuals, there's an abundance of food, they'll grow and grow and grow. Eventually there'll be not enough room for them all. They will prey on each other's eggs, which is kind of what you want. It'll help stabilize them. You just don't want them to do it that quick, so that's why they're separate now. All right, so now we're gonna place like some bigger objects in here, so we'll use the Thanos glove. This guy. That might look cool, like this maybe. You know, I'm just eyeballing this. This is not a science. It's just however you like it, you know. Whatever you think looks cool. These as keeper's choice vines are pretty cool. I like making them really gnarled and twisted, but you know, you can do whatever you want with them. I like these Exoterra backgrounds because they're foam. So what's nice is I just use stuff like this. Take some Zoom Ed plants. I just get rid of these. Just throw that. The more plants you put in there, the more spots for them to lick water off of, especially, you know, geckos don't really drink from standing water as well as they will drink it when you spray. The maintenance you're going to be doing on this tank is spraying it down lightly twice a day. I like to keep one spot wet. You don't really want to spray the whole substrate too heavy at any point. You just want to do it, you know, if there's one wetter spot about every 7 days or so, then all these isopods will have a place to take refuge so they can breathe properly, because like I said, they have gills. So I'm just going to pepper in some moss on the floor, just a couple spots. This will help keep the humidity up again. Also, this will add like a little protective layer for your isopods. For our final top layer, we're using some leaf litter in these. I like using leaf litter as a top layer more than anything else, mostly because these animals, you know, they go for a cricket or something, they get a leaf in their mouth, it's easy for them to spit it out. This moss is like, all the strings get caught in their mouth. This is some Exoterra brand leaf litter. We also carry live oak. Live oak's one of my favorites. It decays really slow, even in really humid environments. We're pretty much there. So you know, you can add as much as you want or as little as you want. That's you know, it only took a couple minutes to set up. And when you spray it down, all you gotta do real quick is just give it a good once over. I try to leave a dry spot. Right now that we're just setting it up, we're gonna hose like one spot a little heavier. So this tank is pretty much ready for an animal now. So we sell all the supplies to make these cages, all the cork plants, vines, substrate, isopods, drainage layer. You can build it at home yourself. We can also set it up for you here, and you know, tweak it based on what species you're working with. But yeah, and that's really all it takes.